Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, Coin Lovers and History Hunters. Today we're diving into a coin that many people have seen, spent, or even ignored without realizing the hidden treasure it could be, the United States Kennedy $50 from 1981 with mint mark varieties that could turn a casual find into a life-changing discovery. These coins are more than just souvenirs of American history. Some of them are now considered extremely rare collectibles that could be worth an unbelievable amount if found in the right condition. Now, let's go back to the roots of this coin for a moment. The Kennedy $50 was first introduced in 1964, less than a year after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It was created as a tribute to him and quickly became a cherished piece among Americans. Even though the earlier years included silver content, by the late 1970s and early 1980s, the coin had transitioned fully into a copper-nickel composition. But don't let that fool you into thinking it's ordinary. The 1981 series stands out in a fascinating way. In that year, the United States Mint produced these $50 at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most people never paid much attention to them because the coin was no longer widely seen in everyday circulation, having been pushed aside by the quarter and the dollar bill. However, this lack of circulation is exactly why high-grade examples from 1981 are so desirable today. Many people don't realize that by 1981, the U.S. Mint had actually stopped issuing Kennedy $50 for general circulation. Most were released in mint sets and proof sets. That means coins that escaped into the wild were either spent by collectors who broke the sets or released by accident. When a coin is struck with the purpose of being sealed away in a set, it's expected to remain untouched. That's why finding one in original, uncirculated, pristine condition is such a big deal, but the real key to unlocking serious value lies not just in the year, but in the coin's condition, mint mark, and visual perfection. Look closely at your $50 from 1981. Do you see a small P, D, or S near the profile of Kennedy under the neck cut? These mint marks indicate where it was made. The S mint mark pieces, especially from proof sets, can be incredibly valuable if they are ultra-high grade. Even coins from Philadelphia and Denver can command massive prices when they show flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and no scratches, spots, or discoloration. Collectors search for reflective fields, crisp edges, clean lettering, and perfect luster. They also check for doubling, die cracks, planchet errors, off-center strikes and other unique features that make a specific coin even more valuable. Only a tiny handful of 1981 Kennedy $50 exist in truly elite condition, and those few are commanding staggering prices in today's market. Another thing to understand is that coin grading plays a huge role in determining value. A raw coin sitting in someone's drawer might be worth only face value at first glance, but the same coin graded as MS or PR70 by a professional grading service can instantly become a treasure. Even the tiniest difference in condition can mean the gap between a common coin and one that collectors will fight over. Picture this scenario: someone inherited a box of old American coins and never paid attention to the $50 inside. One day, they finally sort through them, and tucked between a couple of quarters and commemorative coins is a 1981 Kennedy $50 in nearly perfect condition. With just a little bit of curiosity and research, they might suddenly discover it belongs in an auction house instead of a piggy bank. People underestimate just how important the year 1981 is for this series. It marks the last year before a production gap when the mint stopped general issue $50 for circulation entirely. After 1981, no Kennedy $50 were struck for everyday use until 1987, and even then, they were only made in limited quantities. This gap pushes the 1981 issues into a category of unintended scarcity. Now imagine you're holding one in flawless or proof-like condition. Imagine that coin has no bag marks, no dulling, no handling damage. Maybe it came from a sealed proof set. Maybe it has a deep cameo finish with amazing contrast. If that coin is authenticated, professionally graded, and meets elite standards, it could bring the kind of money most people wouldn't believe for a $50 that's not even made of silver. Today we're diving deep into a coin that many Americans have seen, held, or even spent without realizing what it could someday be worth, the United States Kennedy half-dollar from 1998. This coin carries history, design, and surprising rarity depending on mint mark and condition, and if you stay with me through the story, you might end up checking your collection a lot more carefully than before. The Kennedy half-dollar was first released in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his assassination. Over the decades, this coin evolved, moving from silver to copper-nickel, from circulation to limited mintage, and gradually fading out of everyday use. By the late 1990s, the half-dollar was no longer something you'd regularly get in change from a store. That's exactly why coins from 1998 are more interesting than people realize. Fewer ended up in circulation, more were made for collectors, and certain varieties now command serious money. In 1998, the United States Mint produced Kennedy half-dollars with mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The tiny letter indicating the mint, P, D, or S, is usually found below Kennedy's neck. These small letters can mean the difference between a coin worth 50 cents and one worth thousands or more. Most coins from that year went straight into mint sets, proof sets, and collector packs. And that's the first clue why high-end examples have become incredibly valuable today. Proof coins with the S mint mark from San Francisco are some of the most desirable. These are not made for circulation, they are struck with polished dies and handled much more carefully. When preserved correctly in their original packaging, they display mirror-like fields and stunning contrast. Within that group, the most visually flawless examples are graded at the highest possible levels. Collectors go crazy for deep cameo strikes with absolutely pristine surfaces, no spots, no haze, and no handling wear, but don't overlook coins from Denver and Philadelphia either. While most of those were business strikes, a handful survived in untouched, gem-quality condition. These pieces are incredibly hard to find without scratches, dulling, dings, or imperfections. Coins that appear fresh from the press and have sharp edges, strong luster, and crystal-clear details can qualify for the highest mint state grades, and those are the ones that set record prices at auction. Something else that adds to the appeal of the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar is the timing. This is the same year the Mint introduced the special matte finish Kennedy half for collectors through the Kennedy Collector Set, which honored the 35th president and marked the commemorative release of the Robert F. Kennedy silver dollar. This created a lot of attention around the half-dollars of that year, and certain varieties became instantly desirable. Collectors hunting for top-condition examples know just how limited the best survivors are. Now think about the role grading plays. A coin that looks good to the naked eye might still fall short of elite condition under magnification. The difference between a coin graded 66 and one graded 70 can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Coins that look as if they were never touched, never breathed on, and never left their protective case are so rare that collectors are ready to battle it out at auction for them. Even minor mint errors can cause the price to soar. Double dies, off-center strikes, planchet flaws, or missing mint marks immediately attract attention. Combine a rare error with a flawless surface and the right mint mark, and you're looking at something truly extraordinary. Imagine opening an old proof set, seeing that shining half-dollar inside, and discovering it matches one of those rare combinations collectors dream about. Most people overlook Kennedy half-dollars entirely. They sit in drawers, forgotten in bank rolls, buried in inherited collections, or mixed with coins from pocket change decades ago. But someone who takes the time to pull them out and inspect them might stumble across something that the average person would spend without thinking twice. The 1998 coins that were never touched, never exposed to handling, and kept in perfect condition are the stars of the show. The beauty of this hobby is that every coin holds a story, but not every story ends the same. Some coins are just coins. Others become legendary because of just how perfect they are. That's the magic of numismatics, ordinary objects with extraordinary value hidden in the details. Today we're exploring one of those hidden treasures, the United States Kennedy half-dollar from 1992. This coin has been in countless collections, drawers, piggy banks, and even rolls stashed away in closets. But within that year and those mint marks lies the potential for a shocking discovery that could change everything for someone who finds the right one. To understand the importance of the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar, you have to look at the era. By the early 1990s, Kennedy half-dollars were no longer a regular part of daily transactions. Most people didn't see them in change at grocery stores or banks unless they asked specifically for them. The mint continued production, but much of what was made wasn't for regular circulation. Many of the coins went into uncirculated sets or proof sets, quietly tucked away for collectors and beginners who like the nostalgia of the series. The key to these coins is the mint mark, the condition, and in some rare cases, unusual features or varieties that make certain pieces stand out. In 1992, you'll find mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, P, D, and S. Each one has its own story. Philadelphia and Denver handled the business strikes, the coins meant for circulation and mint sets, but only a small percentage survived in high-grade untouched condition. The San Francisco Mint produced the proof coins, struck with higher detail, frosted devices, and mirror-like fields that collectors cherish. One of the most significant things about the 1992 year is the introduction of the silver-proof Kennedy half-dollar, struck specifically for special sets. These proof coins with the S mint mark were made using 90% silver instead of the copper-nickel composition used in the regular issues. The coins from those sets, when preserved perfectly, are some of the most visually stunning examples in the entire series. On top of that, the non-silver proofs from that year can also command astonishing prices if they are graded at the highest levels. Let's talk about condition, because condition changes everything. A coin pulled from pocket change in the 1990s and tossed in a coin jar might still look decent, but under magnification it could show tiny marks, dulling, or where that lowers the grade. But imagine a coin that never left its original packaging. One with glassy, reflective surfaces and sharp, flawless details. Or a business strike that somehow escaped the usual contact marks and has no flaws at all. Those are the coins that grading services and collectors pay big money to get their hands on. Now add in the rarest factor of all, error coins or special varieties. A double die, a planchet flaw, an off-center strike, a missing mint mark, or another mint mistake can take a valuable coin and push its worth into the unimaginable. These errors can't be recreated or predicted, and their rarity is what drives collectors to hunt them down. It's easy to assume that coins from the 1990s aren't rare because they don't feel old enough, but that's where most people are wrong. The longer time passes, the harder it becomes to find untouched, pristine examples. Most people handled their coins, rolled them, stored them in envelopes or plastic tubes, or accidentally scuffed them. Every tiny flaw knocks the value down, so the number of coins in elite condition shrinks with every passing year. Picture someone buying a proof set in 1992 and storing it without ever opening the box. Maybe it was passed down through family or packed away with other souvenirs. That coin could still be sitting there untouched with ultra-deep cameo frosting and perfect mirror fields. A coin like that, graded at the highest level, becomes the kind of treasure auction houses get excited about. Or picture finding a flawless Denver or Philadelphia strike in a mint set, one that looks as if it was made yesterday. Coins like those don't just get noticed, they get bid on, they get talked about, and they become part of numismatic history. Only a very small number of these coins have reached the top grading levels, and when they do, collectors are willing to go all in to secure them. People overlook coins like the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar because they think only old coins can be valuable, but rarity isn't always about age. Sometimes it's about condition, survival rate, special features, and the exact combination of mint mark and grade. The right coin from this year can completely shatter expectations. Today we're diving into a coin that falls exactly into that category, the United States Kennedy half-dollar from 1983. At first glance, it seems like just another half-dollar from the 1980s, but when you start looking closer at mint marks, condition, errors, and survival rates, the story becomes a lot more interesting than most people realize. To appreciate just why the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar has gained attention in the collector world, it helps to remember the historical moment these coins come from. By the early 1980s, half-dollars were no longer commonly used in everyday transactions. People didn't get them in change at stores, banks didn't hand them out in large numbers without request, and most Americans had gotten used to using smaller coins and paper currency. The mint continued striking Kennedy halves, but the number that survived in top condition became smaller than you might expect. In 1983, the mint produced these coins at two main locations for circulation, Philadelphia and Denver. That means the mint marks you'll see from that year are P and D, located under Kennedy's neck near the rim. Unlike earlier silver issues or later collector-only proofs, the 1983 coins were predominantly business strikes, which means they were made for everyday use. Because of that, many of them show signs of wear and contact marks from bags, rolls, and circulation. That's where the rarity begins to creep in. While millions were minted, only a tiny handful survived in pristine, untouched, uncirculated condition with sharp details, full luster, and no scratches or blemishes. These top-grade survivors are the ones that command unbelievable value today. Collectors and grading services put an enormous premium on high-grade business strikes from years when circulation coins weren't heavily preserved. Another layer that makes the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar special is the fact that the U.S. Mint did not produce any official mint sets for circulation coins in 1982 and 1983. That means the usual source of high-quality examples, fresh coins sealed in government-issued sets, was missing. Most of the coins were released directly into the economy, where they were subject to handling and damage. This lack of mint sets is one of the biggest reasons why fully gem uncirculated 1983 halves are incredibly hard to find today. Now let's talk about value factors. A Kennedy half-dollar from 1983 that has been sitting in change jars, drawers, or pockets for decades isn't going to be worth much unless it shows absolutely no wear. But if you come across a coin that appears flawless, with crisp edges and stunning luster, it could be a true rarity. Coins that have been graded at the highest levels by certification services can sell for astronomical amounts, especially when they have superb strike, eye appeal, and no detractions. Error coins add another layer of excitement. There are pieces with off-center strikes, die cracks, doubled designs, and planchet flaws that can send value soaring. When a coin has both rarity of condition and a unique minting error, it becomes a target for serious collectors who are willing to pay whatever it takes to get their hands on it. Even though the Kennedy half-dollar does not have silver content in 1983, and even though it may not feel like an old coin compared to 1960s or earlier pieces, age is not the only measure of value. Rarity and condition, lack of preserved mint sets, and collector demand turn a coin like this into a potential treasure hiding in plain sight. Imagine someone inheriting a box of coins from a relative, assuming it all adds up to face value or a few dollars in scrap change. Hidden among those coins could be a 1983 Kennedy half-dollar in near-perfect condition, maybe even one that was set aside unintentionally and never touched again. That single coin could be worth far more than most people would ever believe. Or imagine a roll of half-dollars stored away by someone who collected casually but never searched or cleaned them. Inside that roll might sit a flawless example with stunning details and a mirror-bright surface. Coins like that don't come around often, but when they do, the price tag reflects just how rare they are. Every year of the Kennedy series has its stars, and 1983 holds a special place because of the circulation-only releases and the limited number of surviving high-grade coins. That combination of circumstances creates scarcity, and scarcity drives value through the roof when the right coin surfaces. Today, a house, more than what someone might earn in a decade. One of those surprising treasures comes from a year many people wouldn't expect, the United States Kennedy half-dollar from 1972. It's a coin that millions of Americans have handled, spent, collected, or ignored, but only a tiny number exist today in the kind of condition that could make someone's jaw drop when they learn its true value. The Kennedy half-dollar series began in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, and the early years of the coin featured silver composition that drew collectors immediately. By 1971, the coin transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition, marking a new era for the series. That set the stage for the 1972 issue, one of the first full years of non-silver half-dollars. Even though they were not struck in precious metal, these coins carry a hidden potential based on condition, mint mark, survival rate, and unique minting features. In 1972, the United States Mint produced Kennedy half-dollars at 3 locations, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. That means the coins of that year come with P, D, or S mint marks, or in Philadelphia's case, no visible mark at all. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were struck for circulation, while the San Francisco Mint focused on proof coins and special collector issues. Thousands of people handled these coins in the 1970s. They were used for vending machines, gambling tokens, tips, and event change. Over time, most of them collected scratches, contact marks, blow to the luster, fingerprints, and other signs of everyday use. Even uncirculated rolls stored in banks or drawers still ended up with tiny imperfections from mint bags or coin-on-coin friction. That's why the number of surviving 1972 Kennedy halves in flawless condition is astonishingly low, but let's go even deeper. Coins from this year can have additional factors that make them stand out: striking quality, proof finish, cameo contrast, doubled designs, planchet errors, misaligned dies, missing mint marks, off-center impressions, die cracks, and other anomalies that create collector-grade rarity. When one of these high-demand factors combines with exceptional preservation, the result is a coin that collectors will pay anything to own. Proof coins with the S mint mark from San Francisco are especially desirable when preserved in perfect condition. Coins that display deep mirror fields and strong frosted contrast are graded at the highest levels and can skyrocket in value. Business strikes from Philadelphia and Denver, which were never intended to be saved with such care, become even more valuable when found in immaculate, gem-conditioned states. A flawless strike from 1972 that looks untouched and gleaming can reach extraordinary levels when professionally certified, and even though coins from the 1970s may not seem ancient, rarity doesn't always come from age. It comes from how many coins survived in the absolute best state. Condition is everything. A coin found loose in a drawer might look nice, but under magnification it may show enough blemishes to drop it far below the elite grading tiers. The highest grade examples come from coins that were set aside unintentionally, sealed in untouched sets, or forgotten in pristine rolls that were never opened. Consider how many times someone might have dismissed a $50 as pocket change without realizing they were holding a potential treasure. Inherited collections, coin jars, and old bank bags might still hold perfect survivors, but only a trained eye can spot them. A coin from 1972 that never saw circulation, that avoided even the slightest contact marks, and that displays full luster and sharp detail is a true rarity. Proof strikes with deep cameo finish are especially sought after when they show no haze, no spots, and full contrast between the mirrored fields and frosted design. These are graded at the highest levels and command the attention of top-tier collectors and auction houses. Some of them represent the finest known examples for the entire year. That's where the records are set, and let's not forget how the absence of mint sets in some earlier years drove up the value of pristine circulation coins. While 1972 did have traditional sets, they were not preserved by everyone, and many coins were taken out over time. Coins that remain sealed and untouched are the ones collectors fight over today. Imagine the excitement of going through a box of coins handed down from a relative and spotting a gleaming 1972 $50 tucked inside plastic or paper that hasn't been disturbed in 50 years. That little discovery could turn into something far greater than anyone would expect from a 50-cent coin made of copper and nickel. The truth is simple: most people underestimate modern-era coins because they assume rarity only lives in the 1800s or in silver issues. But the market has already shown that stunning examples from the 1970s in the highest grades can break records, and the 1972 Kennedy $50 is one of the quiet heavyweights in that category. And now comes the part everyone waits for, the number that proves how powerful rarity and condition can be. The finest known examples of the 1972 Kennedy $50, with the proper mint mark and the absolute highest level of preservation, have sold for an astonishing $380,000.